Unlock the secrets, learn new tactics, and build a winning strategy to win the aging game. Welcome to the Aging Game with Bruce and Susan.
So welcome to the Aging Game with Bruce and Susan. This is a very excellent podcast that we're going to be featuring today with a good friend of mine, Suzette Graham, who is she's the CEO of Patriot Angels. So welcome. It's great to have everyone here. So hi, Susan. Suzette.
Thank you for inviting me.
That's right, Sue and Susan.
I know, I'm definitely set up. So just count on that today.
Right.
Well, before we get started, I wanted to share with you a couple statistics I looked up and kind of get your thoughts on them and see what you think. Are they on point? Are they high? Are they low? Where do you think they're going? So first was I read that 52% of veterans are 65 or older. And according to the VA, approximately 80% of all veterans will need long-term care at some point.
That's correct. Actually, the VA just put out a statement saying over the next 20 years, the veteran population reaching the age of 85 is increasing by 532%. So there's a huge amount of veterans that are currently 65, like you said, that are rolling into that senior living need. They're going to need that, absolutely.
Well, we need to honor our heroes for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that the numbers seemed high. I don't obviously know all this stuff, but working in home care, we definitely have a lot of veterans down here, but I don't see them all engaging in long-term care in the home care perspective. So I'm eager to kind of talk about this, learn about the benefits. Maybe it's a lack of education or resource, but really helping them understand the options that are out there to help them get all of the services and the benefits that they've earned.
So before we start getting into everything, let's just take a short break and we'll be right back.
When experience matters the most, Senior Housing Solutions uses over 30 years of industry knowledge to provide expert advice for those considering a move to a senior living community. We are the matchmakers of senior housing. Call today at 239-595-0207 for your free consultation.
Okay, we're back. So welcome back. Welcome to Suzette Graham, Patriot Angels. So Suzette, can you tell us, about Patriot Angels and about yourself and just give us some background?
Sure. So I've always done advocate work. I'm from Alaska, and in Alaska, I was the head of the foster parent organization, was able to get the laws changed to get kids out of foster care and into permanent adoptive homes. Moved to Tennessee, started helping homeowners that were in foreclosure stop their foreclosures and actually sell their homes. There's a huge mental dynamic that goes with losing your home. It's much better to sell it, right? But then when the market went soft and nobody was buying, I thought I need to get a job. And I went to work for this company to help veterans get their benefits. At least my job was to tell them about the benefit, and then I would send them to a law firm. Come to find out, they were selling them annuities and taking all their money. And when they needed it the most, they couldn't get it back out of these annuities. And I went, I don't want to be a part of that. So it just so happens that the COO of Brookdale had stopped by our office and left a card. I called him and I said, can I have a meeting? And he said, sure. And I went and met with him. And I said, these people that you're letting in your communities, they're in there giving these VA seminars. They're actually there trying to find out how much money your client has. And they said, of course, we didn't know that, right? I thought they were doing a good thing for their veterans. And he goes, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, I'm looking for a job. He said, come back tomorrow. So I'm back the next day. And I thought I was going for a job interview. And I sat down with John Rios, Greg Richard, and Ron Ayler. And they said, Suzette, if you will start a company that is a safe place to send our veterans, we'll be your first client. And so I went home, set up a desk in the corner of my bonus room, and just started calling communities saying, hey, I'm your new VA provider. Here to discuss VA benefits, consult on benefits. And then, of course, I had to work under an attorney, a VA accredited attorney. and which I always have. And that's how I got my start, and it grew quickly. It was me in one corner of my bonus room, and then I hired my daughter, who was in the next room, put her in a corner and a desk, and then my son, I put him in a corner and a desk, and then my oldest daughter. And I tell people I ran out of corners before children, so I had to get a bigger spot. And we've just grown and grown. We're on our fifth move. For our office space, we just keep accommodating more and more clients. And so we have, during COVID, we really exploded because the VA was shut down, the local VSOs were shut down. And so we were able to still do everything electronically. And so that's kind of when we really hit our groove, was how to do this electronically with all of our clients. And last year, we actually did 21.4% of all the approvals across the nation. And we're just one of the VA accredited attorneys or agents. There's 14,000 of them in the United States. So that just kind of tells you what we do and how we figured out how to do this benefit for our clients, how to get them approved for this benefit. And we have almost 100% approval rating, so our clients get the benefit.
How many years have you been doing this?
We're officially 12 years old. In October was 12. And we're at, if you look at our website this morning, I think we're at 23,470 something approvals, which is right at about $800 billion that's been put back in our clients' pockets so that they can pay for care.
Wow, that's remarkable.
So I know you always have your question.
So I got to ask you, what is something you know today that you wish you knew sooner in your career working in this amazing field that you're doing?
I think maybe in the beginning, I was kind of nervous, right? And I think the longer we are in this, the more emboldened we get with, hey, we do know how to do this. This is a good thing for our veterans and widows. You're always walking the line because you're working with the VA and it's a government entity. And so I think I would have been a little bolder in the beginning. I don't want to be too bold, but I do want to make sure that, because we are aggressive when it comes to taking care of our clients. We will upload our applications right into the VA system now. We track it in the VA system. If it sits on somebody's desk too long, we'll ping that person and say, hey, how come this application is still sitting? If in fact we can't get it moved, then I'll go to Congress and ask for movement on it. So, just finding our footing. I think I wish that I would have been more confident sooner.
Boldly go where no man has gone before.
That's right. That's it.
So can you, that's one of my quotes. So,
yeah.
So Suzette, can you talk about the kind of an overview of what services are available for veterans when they're talking either about home care or for senior care?
Sure. So there's obviously a number of benefits out there. There's pensions as well as compensation. Compensation is for your veterans that served and were injured during their service time. And then this is called pension, which is something that they earned just for being in the military. They didn't have to be injured, anything like that. They just had to have served 90 days active duty and one of those days during a declared wartime. And so then we start looking at their means. It's means tested. So how much money do they have? What are they spending their monthly income on? Things like that. This is a benefit that it's called pension with housebound or pension with aid and attendance. Now, aid and attendance is where they are needing the aid of a third party to assist with things like bathing and dressing. And that can be as simple as somebody sitting outside in their living room while they're in the shower in case they fall, right? They're there for safety reasons. And so the aid and attendance benefit is the one that we specialize in because even housebound means that you cannot leave your home without the assistance of a third party you still have to be spending out your full income on your care. And so aid and attendance is more. Aid and attendance pays a widow $1,478 a month. It pays a married veteran $2,300. I mean, a single veteran $2,300 a month, and a married veteran $2,727 a month. And that goes up with Social Security. So Social Security goes up 2.5% this year. This will go up 2.5% as well. And so those are the ones that we specialize in, is the aid and attendance. But of course, there are other benefits out there that veterans are eligible for.
Great.
What common misconceptions are there or misunderstandings about veterans benefits and senior services?
So most of the time, veterans do not know the rules, right? So they'll go, well, I applied once before and I got denied. Or I've tried that, or I talked to the VA and they said there's nothing that we're eligible for. So the issue, especially with aid and attendance, is that you have to be paying out before you can apply and get approved. So it's like a reimbursement. You can't go to the VA first and say, hey, my mom's in the hospital. Doctors say she can't go home anymore. Is there anything she's eligible for? Then they're going to ask her, well, what are you paying for care? And she's going to say, oh, $100 for Medicaid or medical, prescriptions. And they're going to say, well, what does she bring in? Well, she brings in $2,000 a month between her Social Security and her small pension. And they're going to say, no, there's nothing she's eligible for. Well, what needed to be said was, once she moves into the community, she's paying out her full income on the care in that community. As long as the community qualifies, then she gets the full benefit. But that's not explained up front. So there's a lot of misconceptions in that, oh, I don't qualify, or there's nothing out there that I'm eligible for, when there really is. You just need to know how to go about getting it.
So I know a lot of people, they go to the VA and they give them this form to fill out. And, I guess it's really important for people to make sure that you dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And that's really where you all come in. Is that correct?
So let's say you go to a VA and they say, oh yeah, there's this pension, you can get aid and attendance. They'll give you the 5 forms you fill out. If, there's a spot that's empty, then, they'll send it back and say you're denied. If you put NA and they want 0.00 or vice versa, you're denied. You'll fill out this paperwork and then they'll come back in 60 days and say, hey, we need all your medical expenses and medical records. Well, that's not true. You only need this one doctor's form. Okay, so they send in the doctor's form, but it's not filled out correctly. So then you'll get hit with, we need your financials. You didn't send us all your financials. And after 4 or 5 or 6 trips back and forth, they'll give up. They'll quit. We talked to one lady. She was in her 80s. She went down to the VA office 4 different times in the wintertime and tried to do this on her own. And finally, she has quit because it's almost impossible. Well, we do everything virtually. First of all, we go through the entire situation with you and we go, okay, here's the forms we're going to need just for evidence, right? We need to know what you're spending your money on. We need to know what you have in assets. We need to know how much your Social Security is. There's different statements that the VA requires be added to the application. We do what's called a fully developed claim. We don't piecemeal it to the VA because that can take 13, 14, 15 months. We do it all at one time. And then our average approval time is 90 days. So we send a form to the VA and say, hey, VA, we're going to be applying for benefits for Ms. Smith. After we send that form, then we start putting together the application. We don't send anything till we have it all together then, How many marriages did the veteran have? Is this really the wife that gets the benefit? I mean, there's so many different things that go into an application, and our applications range anywhere from 50 to 150 pages when we're done. So each one is totally different. So you can go to your local VA, get the 5 pages to start with, but unless you know how to add the evidence, unless you know exactly what the evidence is, it's a long, arduous process.
Oh, no wonder they give up, because I do hear that a lot give up. I mean, I have clients and I can't navigate it. I didn't do it.
Right.
It's like trying to do your taxes the first time when you're 80. Think about that.
Yeah.
Hard with that movie.
And Suzette, the program, my understanding is that it's retroactive, meaning that if someone applies today and it takes 90 days or 120 days to get approved, it goes back to today's date. Is that correct?
So the way it works is it's the first of the next month. So the first form that we do, if we know you're eligible right now, we're going to send a form to the VA saying, hey, VA, we just want to let you know we're going to be getting benefits from Ms. Smith. Well, if we did it today, unfortunately, it's not going to count till December 1st. That's going to be our start date because it's the first of the next month, right? And then we're going to start gathering all the evidence, which takes time because there's a lot of evidence to gather. Then we're going to make the application, submit it to the VA, and wait 90 days, right? So now we've got 3-4 months in there. But that first check is going to come and it's going to be retroactive back to December 1st, that start date we got them.
Wow.
That's good information. And when you talk about like the benefits, is it, like if someone's moving to assisted living, there's room and board in assisted living, and then there's levels of care. Is it everything, or is it just levels of care?
It's everything.
It's everything.
It's
Wow.
everything. So that's why it's harder in in-home care because in-home care, your clients do not necessarily want to spend all their money on their care, right? Because they have food to get and they have to pay their gas and electric and they have to, in some many cases, pay rent. Sorry. But if they're moving into a community, now the entire thing is a medical expense, according to the VA.
That's a nice explanation. I think that's helpful. I didn't know that before.
Yeah, I don't think people know that.
No, it ties into what I was going to ask is, are there specific benefits or program that get overlooked by veterans? And I'm going to guess that that's something that's clearly overlooked or not understood, but what else might there be that they're just overlooking or unaware of?
Well, this one specifically, and here's why. Argentum did a survey and found that 42% of everybody living in assisted living is a veteran or widow. 42%. That's about 840,000 people, right? Do you know how many people are getting this benefit nationwide? A little over 130,000.
Wow.
So, and that's on all continuums of care. That's home care, independent, assisted, memory care, right? That's 130,000 people, and there's 840,000 just in assisted living alone. So there's that many people that are unaware of this benefit, and it doesn't mean they're all eligible. I mean, they have to have 90 days active duty. One of those days does have to be during a declared wartime. They do have to meet the means and the asset limitations. But there are many, many, many that do not know about this benefit or do not know how to get this benefit.
So this is an interesting point here because, I hope you can answer this, but my father-in-law just recently turned 94, veteran, served, qualifies all that, but he doesn't need assisted living. He's living independently now, and but he's running out of money, but he doesn't need it. He doesn't have any ADLs, or doesn't need any activities of daily living. So can a person like that who is still living independently qualify?
If he's in an independent living community and that community has 24-hour staffing, then yes, that qualifies. The VA's changed their rules in 2018 to say that a protective environment is the same as 2 ADLs. And a protective environment is 24-hour staffing with care, meaning they have somebody there, it's 24 hours that's going to answer a call for help if they need it. But if he's living at home on his own, no care, no in-home care, then no, he's not eligible, at least for this benefit. Now, pension by itself is actually for your indigent veterans and widows, those that are below the poverty line. So right now it's about $1,800 a month. If a veteran is making less than that, then the VA will give them the difference. And they don't have to have any ADLs or nothing medical. They just have to prove that they're living below the poverty level, and the VA will give them the difference. If, though, they're living in a senior living community or getting in-home care and it's taking all their income, then the VA is going to give them the full pension of $2,300 a month for a veteran or $2,727 for a married veteran.
So we've talked about these two main benefits, but do you guys assist with other programs through the VA, like the home health benefit or even like the spina bifida program?
We do not do that. The home health is the same as this one. Okay.
Okay.
Well, hold on. To pay for your home health, it's the same as this one. There is home health care that you can get where you can get a VA to come in. They'll send somebody in about 6 hours a week, or they have a new program where they're helping pay family members to be care providers for veterans. But we do not do those.
Okay.
So going back to my father-in-law, I'm kind of being selfish here, but I figure it
No,
might
you
apply to
should.
everybody here. But like what like what is the process? What, if should he or should adult children get all his papers together, or should they call your all's number, or what steps should he take at this stage? Because right now he's living independently, but I would say if we can move him to a senior living community where part of it can be paid for, why not do that?
Absolutely. So we don't want you to put a lot of effort in before you call us, because we'll be able to tell you exactly for your circumstance what you need to be collecting. We do have to have discharge papers, and it needs to be an original or certified copy. So if you can find that, if not, we always send people to Angels Research, and they will help you research to find the service time that you served, and then see if it qualifies as a qualifying time. You have to have that with every application, so we have to send that. So that's a good thing to start with. And then, are you 90 active duty days in the military? You can't be all reserves. It had to be active duty. If you're in the reserves and called up for a full duty and you stay the full duty at least 90 days, then you still qualify. But 90 days active duty and then 1 day during a declared war. Right now, we're seeing a lot of Vietnam come in, and they're coming in younger. They're coming in way younger than our World War II or Korean veterans did. And so we're even seeing some of the Gulf War coming in. Not many, but the majority of the people we're seeing that are coming in right now are Vietnam.
And if you are a spouse of a veteran, then what you show, what, your marriage certificate, your
Marriage certificate and death certificate of the veteran. Yeah.
You had mentioned the poverty line, and I was curious with the amount of homeless veterans that are in the country, do you guys do anything or does this benefit them somehow?
It would benefit them. Now, the VA has a thing called HUD VASH, and they have worked diligently to get veterans off the street and into HUD housing. It pays a portion of the housing for a HUD home. But if they needed to move into senior living, the difficulty is they have to be able to pay. They're paying to live somewhere, right? And most of your homeless veterans are not paying to live anywhere. A lot of them are choosing to be homeless, or not choosing to be homeless, but are actually on the street because of substance abuse or mental abuse or mental ailments that they're going through. It would be a great way if we could figure out a way to get them into a community. They have to have a bank account or a way for this money to be distributed, because it goes to them. It doesn't go to the community. So like they'll send it on a card, or they'll direct deposit it into a bank account of some kind. But yeah, there's definitely ways that we could work together to make it work. I know that the veteran population is much lower than it's been in the past. It's about 37,000, but it's still about 37,000 people on the street that could be getting this benefit to help them pay for care and help them change their direction in life. So I'm all for it if we can figure it out.
What is the biggest problem or challenge that you see that you wish you could either help or solve or someone could help you solve?
So veterans, there's several of them, but one of them is they have to be paying for care up front, right? And that's a block right there for a whole lot of people. They can get a bridge loan, but bridge loans they have to pay back. They're high interest, or they have to have a family member co-sign. Whereas that was not a if that wasn't an issue, then a lot more of our veterans could move into senior housing and have a place to live. The problem was in 2012, a lot of senior living communities were saying, oh, well, let's just take in all the veterans and then we'll get them their benefits and we'll get the retro pay. But nobody knew how to get the benefit. So all these veterans were getting moved in to communities without having to pay, and then they weren't getting the benefit. So now the community is out a lot of money, and now the client's back on the street. It did not prove to be a worthwhile project. And so if we could figure out a way as a country to take care of our veterans, like let's pay their rent until we get this retro, let the VA keep the retro, whatever they paid up front, and then ongoing, the veteran or the widow could get this benefit. And I think that there's a lot of ways that we could solve that within the VA.
What if so is it that the veteran has to have the means and actually pay, or could someone sponsor them, give them the money, and they pay?
Oh, sure, absolutely. They could do it's called family maintenance, and they can do it temporarily. It just can't be a permanent thing. But a family member or somebody like that could pay. So you want the client paying something, right? They have a pension coming in, they have Social
Right.
Security coming in, they pay their part. We want this to be the filler to help them pay the rest of their rent, right? So if they're paying their part, if they had somebody that was helping them with the other side of it until they get approved, then they get that money back. Big issue is the person that is applying for the benefit know how to get the benefit for them? Do they know if they really are going to qualify or not? Because you don't want somebody to be out. I talked to a lady the other day, and she was out $60,000 before finally she just went on Medicaid because she could never get her dad on the benefit. So
Right.
it's all about knowing how to get the benefit.
Okay.
So you touched on something earlier about either, the home health care agency would need to be qualified or the senior living community would have to be qualified. So what makes a home health care company or a senior living community qualify?
So home health care does not have to be qualified. They just have to be providing services, at least two ADLs, bathing, dressing, transferring, feeding, ambulating, or toileting. Okay. Two of those things the home health care provider has to be providing, and the client has to be paying out equal to or more than their income to get the full benefit, right? So, but an in-home care community, if the state requires them to be licensed, they have to be licensed. I mean, sorry, a community setting. If the state requires them to be licensed, they have to be licensed. And then they have to be a protective environment. And a protective environment is 24-hour staffing. So as long as they meet those requirements, then the community does, in fact, work. Hold on. I got to stand up because my light just went off.
I know this. This happens to me.
Right.
light-
If
The
I sit
motor-
at my desk for
Right.
like 30
It-
minutes, the light
Yeah,
will-
it's a sensor that if you don't move, it'll go off. Your light will say, "Oh, nobody's there."
yeah.
So, and I just want to just expand this a little bit more about the program is a national program. It's not state specific. It's a national program that works at all different assisted livings. Correct?
Absolutely. And here's a really good thing about it is that what we did is we did a study to find out if we looked at the poverty level and if they add the aid and attendance and they're a veteran or widow, it saves their money on average about 26 months before they run out of money and have to go on Medicaid. And once they go on Medicaid, you're looking at a shared bed or shared room, and not private pay anymore. So if we can help these clients keep their dignity, because when they go on Medicaid, they lose their Social Security, they lose their pensions, everything they've worked for their whole life, and now they're being taken care of by state aid, and that's great in some instances. But if we can add this pension, right, then it's allowing them to stay longer in private pay, where they choose where they get to live, or they choose what kind of care that they're getting, instead of having to be governed by a Medicaid or a state budget.
Can you share with us maybe your favorite story of a client that you really helped them?
So I have some of those. My favorite,
I'm
though,
sure you have tons.
my a gentleman in Florida. He was a veteran. His wife was in a senior living community, and he was driving every day to see his wife. And he said he would pray when he got in his car every day because his car was. He said it was really old, and he didn't know if it was going to start. And so he'd get in his car and he'd pray every day. Well, when we finally got him approved for his benefit, and it does work, by the way, if the veteran is healthy but the wife or the spouse is the one that needs community care, it there is also a benefit for that. It's about $1,800 a month. Okay. But he said once he got approved, he wrote us a letter, and that letter said, "You truly are angels." He said, "What you don't know is I only ate every third day just
Oh,
to
no.
make sure I had enough money to take care of my wife." If that doesn't hurt your heart, I mean, so he's probably my favorite veteran among all my veterans. I got lots of them. I have one right now, though, that's a World War II veteran, and he's being honored in DC on the 8th. He was at Iwo Jima whenever they raised the flag. And so they are actually honoring him on the 8th. And so Morris, his name's Morris. And so we love him. We had a nurse that actually was frostbite in World War II, and she lost all of her toes from the frostbite. So we have a lot of just the stories are unimaginable. We have one that the gentleman was he was captured, and he was a prisoner of war for 6 years. And we was helping his spouse after he had passed away, but his kids were so proud they sent us newspaper clippings and stuff. And one of the newspaper articles said we we talked about him getting released, and he went down to the telegraph office and he sent a telegram, and he said, "I just want you to know I'm alive, and we've been released." And he said, "Thinking of you every day is the only thing."
Um,
Wow, it's the only thing that kept me alive, and I'm coming home. We've had some really, yeah,
wow.
great stories.
Amazing.
Oh.
At V Image Productions, we know that every story has its own rhythm, a unique look, and moments worth capturing. From photography that freezes time to cinematography that brings those moments to life, we don't just shoot, we create. Our passion for storytelling and attention to detail mean that each project, big or small, gets the same dedication, the same creativity, and the same V Image touch. Whether it's a corporate event, social media content, or a promotional campaign, we're here to help you tell your story your way. V Image Productions. Your image is our focus. Call today for more information at 239-287-5577.
So, anything new on the legislative side? Any new updates going on?
There is a bill that the associations have been really pushing hard, trying to get. It's a 3-year pilot program where the VA will actually pay rent in an assisted living community for those veterans that are meet nursing home care. It's a small percentage, but it would be the ones that have already run out of money and are already indigent. They are high acuity, and so they are trying to get that bill passed. I'm just, working hard to get the word out that this is out there. The thing is there's so many veterans and widows that are eligible for this, and if they go on this, they don't go on state Medicaid, so it saves all the states money. It's cheaper than Medicaid for the federal budget, and it helps our veterans and widows pay for themselves to pay for care to live wherever they want and to private pay and have the dignity of choosing. It's just it's a great program. It's just very underserved.
You know, because I do what I do, I think a lot of people are not informed about it.
Yeah.
I just don't think people realize that there are benefits out there. I know that the VA, they don't talk about this program, and so God bless you for what you all do. And I know we work very closely. I just I refer people to you all the time, and I just it's just unfortunately, people just are uneducated about
Yeah.
the program.
I mean, speaking of that, what can veterans or seniors or their families do to stay informed about the changes or benefits and all this great information that they should know?
Well, that's a good question. I know that we stay up on our benefits that we serve, and we're able to assist clients with that. I know the VA keeps things posted on their website. Sometimes it's difficult to read because it will say you can't make more than X amount in a year to qualify for this. But what they don't say is when you subtract your medical, then that's the amount that you make. For instance, if you bring in 2,000 a month, but you pay out 2,000 a month, then your income for the VA purposes is zero. And so it's just knowing how to read. It's knowing how to decipher is what I should say. So there's not really a place that I know of that you can go for updates on all the benefits.
Does someone's home, um, is that part of the equation, the value of their home?
So a veteran can have a home on less than 2 acres, and it's not part of the asset value. If it's more than 2 acres, then the additional acreage is factored into their assets. But they can have a home on 2 acres. It does not count against them. They can have, of course, their cars and things like that. Personal assets, that doesn't count. What does count is liquid assets. So how much do they have in savings accounts, IRAs, things like that? Right now, the maximum is 155,000. But we tell people if you have more than that, still call us, because there are things that we look at to see if maybe it's not all your asset, maybe it's a split asset. So we want to make sure that we give you all the best information that we can. And it's also important to let people know there's a fee for our company. You can go to the VA and this is free. You can go to the VFW, the American Legion. This is absolutely a free service. But for us, there is a fee for a long-term care assessment. It's a 13-page assessment, 13 to 16 pages depending, and it's assessment on the different things that you could be eligible for, as well as how to become eligible for this. And then at no additional fee, if you want us to file the application for you, we will do that. I do have 100 and something employees here, and this is what we do to serve our veterans. And so it's important to know that. But I will tell you that I did have a state VA contact me saying, hey, we need your help. We have a lot of VSOs. We know how to do service connected. We don't know how to do aid and attendance. And so it's because it's such a small amount of all these service connected, it's not prioritized.
Wow.
Interesting. If someone wanted to reach Patriot Angels, what is the best way for someone to find you all?
Well, call our main line, 844-757-3047, or look us up, patriotangels.com, and you can learn all about our company, how many approvals we've had, all the things are on there. And then, of course, our number's on there as well. We also have a chat function if you want to put your information in a box, and we'll reach right back out to you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share that we haven't talked about?
Just if you've been denied before, reach out, because it doesn't mean you're not eligible. If you need help, reach out, because we're here to help. We consider ourselves a white glove service because we walk you through the process. We say that paper will work, that will not work. People get frustrated because there's a lot of paperwork that goes with it, but it's VA paper. It's what the VA requires. And so when we get to the end and get it submitted and they get approved, then they call us crying saying, okay, it was work, but thank you for that. Because, we're going to tell you how to do this. We're going to tell you what matters, what doesn't. We're going to tell you what works, what doesn't. So I just call and let us work together on this for your family.
Great. What was the number again? Just
844-757-3047.
Suzette, thank you very much. Thank you for everything that you do, and we'll be in touch with the Patriot Angels.
Yeah, this was amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you guys do too, getting the word out there. It's so important. Thank you for taking your time out to do this.
Thank you. So our next episode will be episode 9, Unmasking Parkinson's with Dr. Larry Sternberg. I'm sure you're going to find that very, very interesting and educational. So we'll see you then.
Bye.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media. You can also find more information and resources at www.theaginggamepodcast.com.